I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the financial implications of a renovation. And I realize there's makeovers, there's quick makeovers, there's complete retools. But if we can kind of, within that range, what are some of the expenses that you can expect to incur with a renovation, and what's some of the revenue that can be gained? And Andy, let me start with you, please.
Well, the first and foremost is the question becomes, what do you do with the local city? And, I think that with the exception of replacing utilities, with the exception of actually having any structural issues, I think for the most part, you could probably just get away with replacing equipment, yet you're still doing the floor and the ceiling and the tiles. So some cities require you to pull permits for equipment installation, whereas others don't necessarily look for that. So there's a large expense with pulling permits and going through plan check and all of those things when you're just replacing equipment. And I know some cities are sticklers at that. LA is not as tight as most other cities. I don't know, I can't say, but that would be the first expense that I'd be looking at in with regards to this, because it's a hidden one that you're not aware of. Right. That's the first thing. I think the biggest thing that got me was that, I thought I could get away with probably $100 a foot, and even in a remodel, it was closer to $200 a foot. And that's expensive. Now, I don't know what it would be in New York and but this is California, so I imagine I'm probably 15 to 20% higher than the rest of the United States. But that was a shocker to me. And that was a 1,500 square foot laundromat. So you can imagine, I'm getting a bill for 40,000 just for the tenant improvements. And that was installation and doing some structural things and making sure the plumbing and the electrical and everything else worked. But that was kind of a shocker for me doing my initial bid. The equipment, not so much, and we can go into how I decided what equipment to do, but that's been my experience.
Right. What about revenue gained? What can you expect when you renovate? And I don't know, it's probably all across the board, but how do you look at that, or how should you look at that?
Well, I take it. I work off of demographics, and I think demographics really tell the story more than anything else. I think that a lot of people like to use turns per day, which can probably get you into the ballpark, but I think that you have to back it up with knowing that you have the market or the individuals to come in and be your clients in order for you to gain some revenue. So when I look at a laundromat, not counting this Montebello one, but when I look at a laundromat, I look at the turns per day that it's currently doing right now before I do my remodel. And then I look at what the marketplace would be, and I look at what am I going to replace in this application to generate more revenue. And my history has been I could probably get the revenue up about 20% with new washers and a new mix. I wouldn't put the same mix back in a laundromat in any way, shape, or form. And at the same time that you're replacing larger machines or smaller machines with larger machines, you also have to look at what your dry capacity is. And you really don't want to get caught up in a situation where you've got some fantastic equipment mix. The turns per day are going to be really good, but now I can't dry them because I have a log jam at my dryers, because instead of replacing maybe some 30-pound stacks, they should be 45-pound stacks, or even single pockets where they should be stacks. And you kind of have to weigh that to say, I should be equal to, I might be able to get away with a 10% differential, but that's really about it. And if I'm doing wash, dry, and fold, I absolutely have to have 10% more dryer capacity than I have in my machines there.
Yeah, no, that's a great ratio, and that's a great point too. It's like so many people, you've got that log jam at the dryers. You don't have the capacity to handle the big washers that you bring in. So excellent point. Stuff. Tammy, how about you as far as your specific renovation? Do you care to share what kind of expenses you incurred, and then how that helped the business and how it helped revenue and profits once you got things up and running properly?
I think it kind of worked in my favor. I didn't realize me and my brother knew so many people kind of, I don't want to say in the industry, but that were able to kind of help us out We knew a really good licensed electrician. We knew a really good contractor who was able to do our painting, some of our molding, remodeling. We met people in the industry, so we actually went to different states and found washers and dryers and things that we needed. I think his point to the bigger machines, bigger dryers, because we bought it already furnished or already established laundromat initially, we just left it as is. But with the new one that we're building, we actually did take into account that. And so we kind of make sure that we have a big dryer, big washer, so that we could kind of compensate based on how people are doing, how people are doing their laundry. It does become a problem when we're trying to do wash, dry, fold, and customers are in there. So we try and really limit the amount of dryers and washing machines that we take up so that customers are able to kind of come in and get what they need done. So for us, we really were able to, a lot of people gave us really good rates. I will say we were definitely under market on probably everything because no one really wanted to charge us. They were just so excited with helping us. Sure. Hopefully going forward, with the new build out, it's kind of working in the same way. So we're able to use our electrician. We have a plumber. We have somebody who's coming in. Our technician has a guy that can come in and anchor our machines down and kind of get us going in that way. So again, we've been really blessed in that aspect where we haven't had to spend the, go out and contract and kind of bid it out. We've just had more of our friends who are in the business, who are in their business, respective businesses, being able to come in and help us. But when we did do the changeover, we did notice a very increase because I think a lot of people had stopped coming to that laundromat that we first bought because, again, the guy was making them do laundry in the dark. He wasn't fixing any of the machines. He was kind of, they just didn't, I guess they didn't, I don't want to say safe, but safety is a really big thing for laundromats because you do have a lot of older people, you have a lot of women, you have a lot of young, people that are just coming in there with their kids. They want to feel that they're in a safe space in order just to get their laundry done, get it dry, that they can kind of get in and get out. And so we made that a priority as well. Just make sure that there's no one hanging out, no one even, around the building at all. And we lit it up, really bright lights, just so that, when people come in, they feel safe. That was a big one as well.